called Prince of Persia: Arabian Nights. Mechner's involvement with the games is minimal.
I went on from Last Express to write movie screenplays. I did a little consulting for them on the project at the beginning, but ultimately that was a Broderman project that later became a Mattel project.
Well, Prince of Persia 3D kind of came out under the radar. Nobody really paid that much attention to it.
Mechner decides to take another break from the game industry to make a documentary.
I took a few years off from making video games and focused on my other love, which is film. The project was a documentary about a neighborhood of Los Angeles that was destroyed in the 50s to build Dodger Stadium. It's called Chavez Ravine, a Los Angeles story.
Meanwhile, a French company called Ubisoft picks up the rights to the Prince of Persia franchise and calls on their studio in Montreal, Canada, to work on reviving the series.
In secret, we were already working on very early prototype and first mock-up for the game. Jordan and I met for the first time at E3 2001, and we immediately discussed the idea of making a rebirth for this license. In July 2001, 2 months after I've met with Jordan, I invited him here to show him what the team have made at that time. And when he saw those mock-ups, those little AVIs we've made, he was totally flabbergasted. And I will remember all my life Jordan's words saying, "This is reawakening the joy of making video game to me."
I think we all saw this as a terrifically exciting opportunity to take something that was so old that we loved and make it new again.
We had, you know, the godfather of the license and the action-adventure genre telling us, go ahead. And then we started.
After 8 months in development, Jordan came in as the official scriptwriter, and he rewrote a new story, totally new, and worked with us till the end.
Ubisoft Montreal looks to other games for influences on how to make Sands of Time truly unique.
Eco was one of our main influence, and then we had an example of the type of game we were trying to make already. And also Tony Hawk Pro Skater, that was another where you can really, you know, you just play and try stuff and be good at it and have really a spectacular character.
One feature that truly sets the Sands of Time apart from other games is the player's control over the flow of time.
Wouldn't it be cool if instead of dying, you could turn back time, rewind, and then replay from that point? That way you could play continuously, and only rarely would you die and interrupt the fun of playing.
We wanted to have our own technological breakthrough.
I could turn back time.
Which is all the control time features, the real-time rewind.
The Prince himself gets an update.
We always knew that he was going to be a really agile, acrobatic guy. He's not, like, muscle-bound. He's more the kind of clever trickster. Developing a character who looked the way that the character felt to play, you know, that was the challenge. He had to have an attitude that would make gamers today really want to be the Prince and play in that world. I'm very happy with the design we came up with.
As does the gameplay.
A lot of 3D games are they're beautiful, but they're kind of clunky to actually play. So we wanted to have the mechanics and the camera so taken care of that it could become second nature to the player. You could just hit buttons and do a sequence of moves and have this incredible acrobatic thrill of movement.
What they really succeeded with the Sands of Time is creating a very seamless animation that really makes you feel like you're controlling the character. These animations aren't just pre-scripted things, but you're causing this animation to happen.
Ubisoft releases Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time for the PC, Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube on November 6, 2003.
Sands of Time, unfortunately, is one of those games that was a critical success. It had great reviews. It said it was an excellent game, but it didn't really translate into the blockbuster sales that was expected. To the point that even a couple months later, Ubisoft bundled Splinter Cell with Prince of Persia. You buy Prince of Persia, and then you get a free Splinter Cell.
After a relatively slow start, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time sells more than 2 million copies worldwide.
The way that, let's say, the gamer have appreciated the game has been really, really good for us. We were very surprised, yeah.
The prince has returned, and his new adventures are just beginning. After its 2003 release, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time is showered with praise and sweeps the 2003 AIAS Awards.
And the award goes to Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia, Sands of Time.
We received 8 prizes. It was a little bit embarrassing after like the 5th, when we had to come back all the time on the stage and say,
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
thank you again for that award.
That was beautiful. Thank you very much.
Winning awards in a place like DICE really goes to show that your peers respect you, that people in the industry that you work with really respect what you've done with the game, which I think is a huge honor to have.
Work on a sequel titled Prince of Persia: Warrior Within begins immediately.
When we started the project, we looked over Sands of Time. We didn't want it to change everything because the recipe was good in the Sands of Time and improve what can be improved.
The team sets out to make a darker, grittier game.
The prince himself has changed. He's evolved. He's the same character, but he's grown up.
He has grown up. He's much more mature.
And everything around him also have matured.
There's a good landscapes that you're gonna see in the game. There's no texture. I have to put all the textures, do the modeling, refining, because it's all edgy like this.
There is a link in the story between the Sands of Time and Warrior Within.
In the first game, he made a little mistake, opening the hourglass. By doing that, he screwed up the timeline. He called upon himself his own incarnation of fate, which is what we call the Haka, which is based on the true Persian mythology.
So this is the Haka, one of our big bosses, and the idea was to give him more of a badass walk. I'll go in and add some up and down to give him more bounce because he's such a big guy.
The Haka is the guardian of time. It's a huge beast that cannot be killed.
Prince is about this size next to him.
The Haka's job is to kill Prince. So the sad news is that the prince gonna die.
He cannot change his fate. He has to die. So, of course, as a hero, he will try to find a way to change that.
The prince's full idea is to rewind time before even the creation of the Sands of Time. Because no Sands of Time, no the Haka. And no the Haka, happy, happy joy.
In the game, we're going to travel through time. This one is like in the present.
But now he can also travel in the past for centuries.
Which enabled us to go a little bit earlier in time, so we could visit some different kind of environments. We were going to ancient Persia rather than the Arabic style of the previous game. So this time it's more a mix between Persian and Greek.
The highlight of the sequel is an enhanced fighting system.
So the freeform fighting system, as a gameplay mechanics, is basically a mix between the Prince of Persia fighting system and the SSX combo stuff, where you can basically define your own fighting skill.
The freeform fighting is just how to make the experience in the combat unique.
In the fall of 2004, Ubisoft releases Prince of Persia: Warrior Within for the PC and all the major consoles. Meanwhile, Jordan Mechner combines his two greatest passions, games and film.
Jerry Bruckheimer and Disney have picked up the rights to make Prince of Persia as a feature film. I'm writing it. Jerry Bruckheimer is producing for Disney. This is a terrific, exciting chance to kind of bring the Prince of Persia full circle to his cinematic roots.
As Jordan and the Prince tackle the challenges of the big screen, it's important to recognize how far they have taken the world of gaming.
Not only that, but Prince of Persia is also kind of considered one of the first action-adventure games that really spawned a whole bunch of different action-adventure games like Tomb Raider.
Prince of Persia was a very important franchise 10 years ago with Jordan Mechner, and we have made a great work with the team. Now that Prince of Persia license is something that we want to push forward for the future.
I don't think I could have foreseen that 15 years later, Prince of Persia would still be alive, and still be played and remembered. You know, that's probably one of the most rewarding aspects.
1.2 megapixel camera and holds 5,000 MP3s.
Wow, that's really impressive. Hold on a second, sorry. Hello? Yeah, hey, I'm in the middle of lunch. Can I call you back? All right, cool, thanks. So that's a lot of MP3s.
Yeah.
See the best, greatest, biggest, shiniest, coolest, and blinkiest new stuff coming next year when the Screensavers goes live at the Consumer Electronics Show January 6th and 7th at 7 Eastern.
Hold on, let me put you on speakerphone.
No.